Hello and welcome. So in this quick video, I'm going to talk about how you can more easily align with any goals or visions that you have. So most of us are really good at knowing what we want, even holding something in mind, conceptualizing something. Oh yeah, I want more money, I want a more intimate, more meaningful relationship, and this is kind of what it would look like. Right? Most of us are pretty good at that. Where we go a bit wobbly, and what most people aren't so good at, is that you have to also practice matching the emotional state, the emotional feeling with that goal. What does that goal feel like in present time, right now? So this is the key. If you can match your visual with your emotional state, you're so close to it. And then it's just a matter of time before the physical domain catches up to that. Usually there's a bit of a lag time with the physical domain catching up with it, but if you can just bring those two together, you're pretty much already there. And in a lot of ways you are already there because you're already internally experiencing it. And that's what it's all about, really. That's what it's all about. So how can you do that? I'll give you two, maybe three tips. Let's see how I go. So the first one is, first you've got to bring up and knock out all the fears and the anxieties that are cooking underneath everything. So, again, we're really good at knowing what we want. I want more money, I want a better relationship. But there's actually usually there's this huge accumulation of junk underneath in the soil. That's called the soil of the subconscious mind, which is usually related to fear, guilt, worry, shame, feelings like I'm not worthy of that. I don't deserve that. That won't work for me. Things like, I don't deserve that. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. All these kinds of things. Or there's a fear there as well that if that happened to me, that would mean that I would have to do this. So it's a kind of a disadvantage that's cooking underneath, which is you're sabotaging yourself. So, if I go, okay, you want lots of money, right? So what are you afraid of, or what is a disadvantage of having lots of money? Now, may not be so obvious straight away, but usually if I dig around a little bit, some people say I'd have more responsibility, I'd have to change my lifestyle, pay more taxes, people would treat me differently, I would have to learn not to lose it, and all these things. So these fears are actually cooking underneath. They're not so obvious, but they're cooking underneath and dictating most of our behavior. So what I've found is you have to bring that stuff up and you have to get it out of you. I use EFT and I use this method called releasing technique as well. And it works because when you bring up a fear or a worry, it triggers a stress signal in the brain. And when you tap, it neutralizes and changes the stress signal in the brain, so it's no longer a stress. And what this means is that basically you're changing your neurophysiology and your internal chemistry so that the fear isn't playing anymore. It's released out of your system. So that's one way you can knock it out. And if you want more information about that, then please message me or book in a call and we can talk more about how we can do that and knock out those fears. And what's interesting is once you knock out a lot of that fear, that sabotaging stuff, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I don't deserve that, it's very easy then to feel good. This is the thing, you don't have to really try and feel good. If you're really trying really hard to feel good, it's because there's a lot of junk usually that's dictating your state. So you're really having to work really hard to feel good on top of that. But the funny thing is if you knock out the fears of like, I'm not good enough and all that shame, guilt and all that nonsense and conditioning, is that you just naturally start feeling better. You naturally start feeling more joyful. You naturally start feeling more content. The state is already here. So that's the first thing to be aware of. The second one is what they call power posturing, I think it's called in psychology. And they've found time and time again is if you have certain postures where you're sitting up straight and you're taking up a lot of room, that starts biohacking your system into a state where you're feeling stronger, feeling more confident. So I really promote that you can do that even now and at home is whenever you have a vision, you have to like match it with a power posture. Have a long spine, a balanced pose, open the lungs, and you will start matching a strong emotional state with your vision. You'll see it in the yogas time and time again where you're posturing in a certain way, and that opens up certain higher states of consciousness. You see it in the martial arts as well. Certain power poses or certain structure makes you feel very strong, very powerful in mind and in body. And basically, again, once you've got that recipe, you put in any vision or any strong vision, and it will become more charged and more powerful. And the third one I wanted to touch upon is the quieter the mind, the more powerful thoughts become, or the more powerful your images become. If the mind is really, really busy and hectic, the ability of the mind to concentrate and put energy, delegate energy, it becomes diffuse. So if you've got a very busy, hectic mind with lots and lots of things going on, the energy is diffused. The concentration of mind is diffused. But if the mind becomes quieter and quieter, and then a thought comes in, it goes, it's got way more power that you can focus on. So a quieter mind, a more peaceful mind, actually means it's a stronger mind. Okay, so I know there's a lot of people out there, and I also fell into it as well. It's like you just keep filling yourself with knowledge. Learn more things, more knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge. But if it's making your mind even crazier and busier, it's diffusing your mind, and it's making your mind actually weaker. If you can actually let go of the mind and let go of a lot of the concepts you've brought up, then you'll create more space, and then whatever you do bring to mind will have more power. So come back to simplicity. Find some few governing principles or some things that work for you, that make sense, and try not to fill the mind with too much conceptual stuff. And it'll start to calm down and become quieter. And you can learn more about this in meditation and stuff like that. And also when we release and use EFT, it tends to quieten the mind as well. But that's just something to be aware of. A quiet mind, a peaceful mind, is actually more powerful. So, that's another benefit. Not just because it releases anxiety, but because it actually makes you more powerful. So those are the three things. So again, the key of this message is you have to match your emotions with the vision in order for it to have power. How to do that? The first one is you've got to knock out the fears that are cooking underneath you. Second thing is use power postures and get your body in a certain way where you're practicing the feeling of being strong and being powerful. That makes it so much easier. If you've got a poor you can see anyone, if they've got a poor posture and they're holding something in mind, it doesn't matter what they're holding in mind. You can see that their chemical makeup and their structure does not match the vision that they're holding in mind. So you've got to match your posture with your vision, and it will become more powerful. And the third one is a peaceful, quiet mind is a more powerful mind. Get rid of having too many concepts. Having more knowledge, more concepts in your mind does not mean you're smarter. It may actually mean you're becoming dumber or less powerful. So just be aware of that. If you want more information, if you want to connect with me, work with me more one-on-one, so you can get more in alignment with these practices, then book in a call or message me here, and we can talk more about it then. So all the best, and speak to you again soon.